message to the billionaire class: you can't have it all.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome again to another week of The Evolution of Now. My name is Christopher Robinson. I am joined this week by two of my esteemed colleagues and co-hosts, Jordan Speed and Aubrey Steinberger. How are you guys doing this week?
Not bad.
Joyful? Yeah. Sounds very joyful out of you guys this week.
I don't like this topic. That's it.
Yeah.
So, why not?
Oh, I don't know. It's weird.
What's not to like?
Of course, this week we are actually going to be talking a little bit about our good friend over there on the right, Mr. Alex Jones. We're going to be delving into his history and what shaped him in his pursuit to the conspiratorial psychopath that he is today. And yeah.
And for all new listeners, we're Chris was totally being sarcastic. He's not actually our friend. We don't like him.
What are you talking about? Yeah, we hang out all the time. No.
You trade conspiracy theories.
I might hit my limit and just log out halfway through.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty bad. But yeah, I mean, I think it's important to understand where even the most extreme cases on the right, the far right, come from, and how psychotic they've become and everything. Right. Yeah, maybe the insane right is better, but
yeah, and also this, Alex Jones he's significant because of his effect on the Donald Trump presidency, and because I think that there's a wing of Donald Trump supporters who align with the Alex Jones way of thinking. So it's really, yeah.
I think Trump has even gone on to Alex Jones's show on like interviews and stuff, and
he went as far
for the work that he's done to help him.
Yeah, he went as far to say, "I won't let you down," like in quote.
Yeah.
Directly to Alex Jones.
Very sad. Very sad. But yeah, I guess unless you guys have any stories to get into, because it's gonna be a pretty decently long amount of information, I think here. I don't know, but if you guys have any stories that you wanted to share this week, or else hold your peace.
Oh God.
You go, Jordan.
You go, Tensai.
That's not fair.
Sounds like nobody has one. I don't know.
I was gonna go back up. Shit. I shared something earlier.
Not winning.
Yeah, whatever.
I don't really have a story to bring up myself this week, but
well, there was that Secular Talk video about that he's actually a libertarian economist that he wrote a piece.
It's not Hedges, is it? Chris
Was it Hedges? Yeah. He wrote a piece about how basically we've got on the Huffington Post. Yeah, here we are. It's by Zack Carter, apparently.
Yeah, I was off.
10 years after the financial crisis, the contagion has spread to democracy itself. Because, we had the 10th anniversary of Lehman Brothers filing bankruptcy on September 15th.
Yay, that happened.
Yay. And basically, we know that crimes were committed. We know that, they even pleaded guilty to felonies. Citibank, JP Morgan, Royal Bank of Scotland, Barclays, and UBS even pleaded guilty to felonies for manipulating currency markets.
This is where having the Obama clip where he's like, "Oh, we don't look backwards, we only look forwards," would have been really helpful.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I don't have
helpful. That. But not a single person has served a day in jail for any of it.
However, you know what I do have? Hold on. I didn't turn it up for the audience here. Hold on, here it goes.
Wow.
Pokemon go to the polls.
You got that one. We got that. Not exactly what we wanted here, but okay. Oh, I didn't turn it up for you guys either. Hold on.
Oh my God.
Hey, this is like, I'm like a total newbie with this mixer board apparently today. Hold on.
Pokemon go to the polls.
That's what I got today.
No.
Oh, yeah. I know Aubrey really likes that one. It's like her favorite on the soundboard, I think.
People might not know this, but that's what actually encouraged me to go to the polls.
Really? Because
Oh
you
my
know
God,
what?
Jordan,
I was
we
playing
can't talk
Pokemon
anymore,
Go.
Jordan. I think we're gonna have to kick Jordan off the show. I don't know.
I was playing Pokemon Go at the time that she said that, and
I
it
think
was
that would
so
make me
frustrating
quit
because
Pokemon Go altogether. I don't know. I would never play it again after that.
do you don't know? So the places where the Pokego stops are,
Mm-hmm.
the Pokestops, they tend to be public landmarks. I don't know, churches, other places like that. Guess where polling stations are? Those exact same places.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hooray.
Oh, and you don't have to actually go inside in order to actually hit the stop. You just go past it. In fact, half the time, I would just simply have it open while I was on the bus heading to work, and I'd just spin the stops as I went past them. Including my actual polling location.
I can't imagine why she didn't win the presidency.
I'm just chilling in Cedar Rapids.
I don't know. I don't see it.
Don't.
They should have had like a special edition Pokemon that was just like Hillary Clinton that you could collect.
God, no, Jordan, no.
I call it Hillary
Please,
Clinton.
no, Jordan, no.
Nobody would want that.
Don't do this. But anyway.
Horrible. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, we hit our 10th anniversary of the 2008 financial crisis, and we haven't actually fixed any of the actual problems because, they passed Dodd-Frank, but Dodd-Frank itself was a pretty weak bill to begin with, and then every month after Dodd-Frank passed, they would slip a provision into other bills that would repeal something in Dodd-Frank.
Yeah, I definitely heard that too.
Yeah. So, Dodd-Frank isn't going to stop anything.
So I had a question on our Discord, though, our public Discord for the show, whether or when I guess it was what was it? 1 out of 10, how likely you thought it was going to be that we're going to have a recession in the next 10 years. And I think on that, I think around like 6 to 9 out of 10, I think, is where I would sit on the likelihood of us having another government catastrophe
in the next 10 years. 9.5.
Yeah.
Not guaranteed, but it's pretty damn likely.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah. I'm actually. It really depends on what happens with the Trump presidency, because.
We'll definitely see soon.
It wouldn't surprise me if we have another crisis before 2020 or in 2020.
Yeah. And that's, I would say, even if, someone like Bernie Sanders becomes president, I think it's still like likely that we'll have some kind of serious recession of some sort.
Well, see, the problem is because getting a progressive president isn't the end, because without a progressive Congress to back them up, or even a cooperative Congress, which I don't think the current Democratic Party would be cooperative, it doesn't really mean much at the end of the day when it comes to a lot of domestic issues, and even foreign policy issues too, for that matter.
Yeah, and then so if that did happen, they would then they would point the fingers then and say, "You see that? It's Bernie Sanders' fault that this happened," or someone. This is exactly the game that they're going to play.
And honestly, that was my biggest fear about a Hillary Clinton presidency, was because I saw this crash coming. Prior to 2016, I knew it was coming because Obama didn't fix the problem, and I shouldn't just put that solely on Obama, but he certainly didn't help, seeing as he refused to even prosecute anyone responsible for actual crimes. In fact, a lot of them got bonuses. But so I that was my biggest fear about a Hillary Clinton presidency, was that we would have a crash under her, and that immediately everybody would say, "Oh, it's the Democrats' fault. We need to go Republican. We need to follow Republican policies." Whereas it's Republican policies that put us here. And I knew damn well that Hillary Clinton wasn't going to fix the problem. She's a neo-lib, practically conservative herself.
No, she's definitely conservative. I would actually put her conservative.
I say practically conservative because with where the Overton window is right now,
it's skewed so much to the right now.
I know.
Yeah, like
skewed so far to the
Republicans are like. I would actually like. We've had a talk on the political spectrum. I say, really, the center is conservatism, and the right wing is regressivism, and that's where the Republicans are today, and they're regressive. They want us to go backwards in time to make America great again, right? That's why they have that as their moniker. They want to go backwards in time in a lot of policy, They
want to go back to the 1920s, to under Calvin Coolidge.
It's essentially basically before the civil rights era. That's where they want to go back to,
Well, see, they want to go back to the Roaring 20s specifically. Because that was where you had all the robber barons, had all their power, there was still like a lot of monopolies still in place because as soon as Teddy Roosevelt got out of office, they immediately stopped enforcing antitrust laws. Very few worker protections. Unions were not very powerful at that time. They were still trying to just really hit their stride. They're mostly struggling to survive.
They also started watering down the high top tier tax rates too for the progressive tax system.
Tax rates were really low, it was the Roaring 20s. Well, it was roaring as long as you were rich. If you were poor, you were miserable. But you could get lucky, and people make a big deal about the American dream. Well, the American dream, for the most part, has been just get lucky, win the lottery.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyone can win the lottery. You can't win if you don't play.
Dream big.
I gotta say though, I don't think anyone's dreaming anymore. Like I don't even hear that. I don't even like. I don't hear that saying anymore. Like it's not even like within our culture anymore. At this point, it's all about like just.
Well, it's the motto of like the probably the New York state lottery system, at least. That's always been the motto for them is dream big with the stupid ass gopher.
I hear it all the time. You can't win if you don't play. Well, the thing is, you can play all you want. You're probably not going to win unless you get extremely lucky.
Yeah.
So. And that's kind of basically what the American dream is, as it's classically understood, is basically just get really fucking lucky and you made it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, we should probably move on.
Moving on.
Well, yeah.
You have anything, Jordan?
No, I'm cool. There was actually, I'm okay. Because what I was gonna bring up is I think eventually become a topic of mine. So I think I'm just going to keep it tucked for now.
That's fine.
Oh, all right. Okay.
Well, we are here today. We are gathered today to talk about Alex Jones. A man who you might have heard of before. He's said some interesting things in the history. He has had this take on Hillary Clinton herself and who she is. I got a nice little clip here. This is him impersonating who he says Hillary Clinton is.
Murder the Christians. Destroy everything.
Nailed it.
He noticed drunk.
It's not even over.
But still stumbling forward, more blood. As he falls down, they go, our God must be lifted back up. And more blood. Sell the baby parts. Arrest the reporters that expose for keeping babies alive. Eat the hospitals with their bodies. Have the Pepsi taste testing systems be based on fetal tissue. All demonic systems genetically engineer all the crops. Overthrow creation. More blood. That's Hillary.
There you go.
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
Tensai, are you still there?
Yes.
Okay.
Begrudgingly. Yeah.
I nearly logged out.
It's only gonna get worse. But yeah, so that's Mr. Alex Jones for you. I have more clips later on in the show that we can listen to. But I want to delve into the history behind Mr. Alex Jones and where he came from, where he might have gotten some of his inspiration, let's say, for the conspiratorial psychopath he is today. Mr. Alex Jones was born in 1974 in Dallas, Texas. He grew up in a town called Rockwell, but moved to Austin, Texas in 1991, where he played football in high school. Alex graduated from high school in 1993. During his adolescent years, Alex had read a little book titled None Dare Call It Conspiracy by Gary Allen and Larry Abraham, a time when he became a good reader, as he says it himself. I have a clip of him actually saying this. Here you go.
None dare call it conspiracy. I then read this book, I don't know, when I was like 12, when I started becoming a really good reader.
A really good reader. He was becoming a really good reader at 12 years old.
You know the one thing that really good readers don't say about themselves is that they're really good readers.
It's weird.
Well, I was a really good reader when I was 12. But you know when I started to become a really good reader? When I was 8.
Yeah, probably. It's just interesting, just like the phrasing of "I was a really good reader." You know, it just interests me. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's fascinating.
It's kind of sad because he's talking about his 12-year-old self, which is something I never do, and something that I think like your average person never does, because like, why do I have to brag about the time I was 12 years old? Like an ability I had at 12 years old.
Well, that's the thing with Mr. Alex Jones. It's interesting how he glorifies his younger self all the time. I don't know if I should play the clip now of when he's like bragging about how he had Satanist cheerleaders all over him, like when he was in high school. But yeah, he brags about that, and he's like, "Oh, well, a lot of people were asking me at the time, why would I be hanging out with all these top cheerleaders?" But you know. But anyway, going back to the history, and actually I want to go into like what this book was, because it's actually super important to understand who Mr. Alex Jones is. This book asserts that there is a massive conspiracy going on between the world establishment's elites, and the book itself refers to these people as the insiders. The book also claims that these insiders used elements of Karl Marx's Communist Manifesto to further their agenda. Parts of the agenda are to put in place income taxes to extort the common man. And also, the central bank named to make people think it's part of the government, even though it's actually privately owned. That's actually true in a lot of cases, in all honesty. The central bank is the holder of the national debt. It's kind of true. And finally, the government would run the national debt and interest rates sky high through wars and deficit spending, all in a attempt to make a ton of money for these central bankers. And there is a lot of honesty in that, and there's a lot of like fluff that he also brings to the table, though, too, because he goes on in the book itself. Here's some quotes for it, actually, for you guys. Quote, "If you have total government, it makes little difference whether you call it communism, fascism, socialism, Caesarism, or Pharaohism. It's all pretty much the same from the standpoint of the people who must live and suffer under it." That's relatively innocuous, and yeah, I mean, nobody, I don't think, is looking for like a total government in the ways of like 1984, the book from George Orwell goes into. But there's some more things that go into more of his the writer's mentality, Mr. Gary Allen and Larry Abraham. Quote, If you study Marx's Communist Manifesto, you will find that, in essence, Marx and the proletarian revolution would establish the socialist dictatorship of the proletariat. To achieve the socialist dictatorship of the proletariat, three things would have to be accomplished: elimination of all right to private property, the dissolution of the family unit, and the destruction of what Marx referred to as the opiate of the people, religion. And so this is starting to, ring on the fears of all the God-fearing Christians in America. But more little things for you. Quote, FDR once said, "In politics, nothing happens by accident. If it happens, you can bet it was planned that way." And so this is getting into how the globalists and the elites, the global elites, are somehow pulling the strings and controlling everything. And like I've said, there is some truth to that. But here you go. Here's a fun little quote for you. Communism, to him, in all quotes apparently, is an international conspiratorial drive for power on the part of men in high places willing to use any means to bring about their desired aim, global conquest. So, some fun reads from the book here that shaped our Alex Jones's fragile little 12-year-old mind when he was just becoming a good reader, you know? Yeah. So it's a very fear-mongering book about communism and how the global elites are trying to destroy everything and control everything at the same time. It's weird. But the writers of this book are thought by some, at least, I'm not sure if they've been confirmed as being parts of the John Birch Society, but something tells me they were parts of the John Birch Society. And the John Birch Society is a conservative advocacy group who is very anti-communist and in favor of a limited government. The society is very often tied to the far right, or, in other words, the radical right as well, as some might call it. So that's that book in a nutshell. So it's a very anti-communist book, and they conspiracy about a lot of things, and they use some actual reality to do this. It's a lot like the pipeline to the right, or the far right, is today. You know, they sprinkle in facts and they make it sound plausible with a lot of things, but then they start like working on you in certain ways that like makes you like super anti leftist, and portrays the left as like some kind of monolithic evil that's going to destroy everything, which that's just not the case. But I digress. Yep.
I was going to say that conspiracy theories are so effective, especially on 12 and like a 12-year-old brain, because it exploits the parts of the mind that has no explanation. And as a 12-year-old, you don't really know much, so it's just filling out all that space with like shit that just doesn't really exist. Except he's more susceptible to it because it's like, hey, I don't know any other explanation as to why this could be the case. So hey, I guess this crazy idea sounds very, very interesting and engaging, and it's just more exciting than the actual truth. Yeah. And so it kind of begs the reader to kind of engage in it and to kind of hope that life is as exciting as what this conspiracy theorist is saying it is.
Yeah, I mean, he was impressionable in those years. You know, it's why religions try and make sure that they bring children in as early as they can, yep, so that they can grab hold of them easier and keep them as long as they can. But going on to the story here, though, after this point, after Mr. Alex Jones had consumed this book and internalized all of its messages, and also after high school, he got his first taste of hosting a public access television show. And interestingly enough, his father was a dentist, and one of his father's patients was actually the manager at a local public access TV station. And so it was his father that actually got him his first break on public access television. Weirdly enough, like, it's interesting how it's always like these right-wing, big, strong, chest-thumping, right-wing men that say that they built this on their own sweat and tears and they did this all themselves. And it's always interesting how often they get their first breaks because of their fathers. It's just so interesting. It's sort of like, I don't know, there's this president guy that I think we have right now that's also tries to portray himself as like he built everything off of a modest loan of $1 million from his father, Not to mention all of the recognition that his name and being the son of his father gave him inroads into the wealthy elite of New York and all that. That doesn't mean anything, right? But yeah. So he got his first break from his father. And at this point, he had been enrolled in college. However, after this big break into television, he dropped out of college to pursue the TV and audio thing full time. In 1996, Alex switched to radio and hosted the Final Edition on KJFK Radio. One of Alex's frequent guests was a man by the name of Ron Paul. Interesting.
That is interesting.
So Ron Paul was right there with the rise of Alex Jones. Two of Alex's first major conspiracies were the Waco Siege and the 1995 Oklahoma City bombing. So I actually wanted to get into some of the details of the Waco Siege and the Oklahoma City bombing if you guys out there don't really know much about it. We're going to get more into some of the other conspiracies, but most of you probably know about like some of his more recent ones. But let's get into the Waco Siege first. There was a Christian cult by the name of the Branch Davidians, and they had a compound outside of Waco, Texas. These Branch Davidians had violated federal firearms regulations, according to the authorities. The ATF decided to try and go in there and arrest them for these federal crimes and confiscate the weapons. However, during their first engagement with them, there was a gunfight that actually erupted. 4 ATF agents and 6 Davidians were killed in this altercation. Because of this, a 51-day siege followed. The FBI finally came to a decision to end the siege by gassing the Davidians out of the building that they were holed up in. A specific type of tear gas that was called CS gas was used. And I actually talked about this with Michael the other day, and CS gas is sort of like a pepper spray, sort of. And so they actually shot hundreds of containers of this CS gas into the building. And after the gas was shot into the building, it was noticed that the building suddenly caught fire in several places at once. Gunshots were heard ringing out inside of the building. 9 of the Davidians actually managed to escape the burning building. However, 76 others were not so lucky. 25 of those were children that had perished in the chaos and the fire. The gunshots heard were allegedly from some of the cultists opening fire on the others in a sort of suicide pact. Those with the weapons then also turned them on themselves. As for the fire, the source was never really explained that I could find. According to some information at the time, the CS gas that was used could catch fire in the right circumstances. So that could have been the link to how the fire started. It could have also been that these Davidians decided to set the building on fire themselves. We don't really know. Whether or not the fire was a direct cause of the CS gas or the Davidians themselves is not known. The conspiracy that Alex believes is that the government actually murdered all of these Davidians, most likely to further some kind of Marxist takeover or something. I don't know. After this point, though, Alex actually helped raise funds to build a new church for the Branch Davidians. So he that was a big thing. Obviously, since it was in Texas, he was right there on the ground floor of it, if you will. Which brings us to the Oklahoma City bombing of 1995. A man named Timothy McVeigh constructed a massive truck bomb, which he blew up outside of the Alfred P. Murrah federal building. At least 168 people were killed in the explosion, and another 680 were injured. The blast had destroyed a third of the building, as well as blowing out windows of buildings in a very large area around the scene. I can't remember if it was like a mile around or like hundreds or thousands of feet around. It was a very large area. But Mr. McVeigh was apprehended about 90 minutes later. He was initially stopped because he had been driving without license plates. Oh, and he also had illegal weapons in his possession. So that's part of the reason why he was detained. According to Jones, the government was involved in the bombing of its own building in order to demonize ordinary Americans. Apparently, at the time as well, Alex Jones would go on to help create a documentary entitled A Noble Lie, Oklahoma 1995, where they go into this very idea that the government was actually who made the bomb and set it off and everything, and then so it was just some kind of grand conspiracy to demonize ordinary Americans. So, around this time, Alex had gotten his own TV show on ACTV, a local station in Austin. Since these humble conspiracy theorist beginnings, Alex was booted from radio entirely in 1999, though, because of his conspiratorial craziness. And what the station posits was because he refused to broaden the topics he covered, and the advertisers weren't really cool with that. He then started broadcasting his radio show over the internet. In 2001, Alex Jones accused the Bush administration of conspiracy in the 9/11 attacks. With this new conspiracy, TV stations started dropping him all over the place, and so he was finally off of television altogether. Rise the batshitorium that is Infowars.com.
That's interesting that that a platform decided to ban his content from its, or a service decided to ban his content from his platform. Interesting. I mean, just very interesting.
Yeah.
How it's how back at that time no one gave a shit about Alex Jones being banned from their platform, but now people seem to give a shit.
Yeah.
Well, mind you, TV has always been an extremely controlled space as opposed to the internet. So there is a bit of a difference there because people have different expectations when it comes to the internet.
Yeah,
that's true. But I guess I'm not blaming.
Wrong. They do have those different expectations.
True, but I think it all comes down to networks. There could have been a network that went, oh, you know what, Alex Jones, join us. So it wasn't necessarily all of TV, but it was just necessarily those networks that he was partnered.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those were some of the big conspiracies that really started his career as a conspiracy theorist on the right. But some other conspiracy theories of note. You might have heard of Jade Helm. This was supposedly a government conspiracy with the UN and Obama to invade Texas in order to take it over for China or something. And apparently Jade in Jade Helm, Jade stands for China, and Helm stands for Homeland Extermination of Local Militants, according to Alex Jones.
That's a stretch.
Of course.
Never was one.
Yeah, well, it's Alex Jones.
Oh, man. So that was a fun one. There was the U.S. military actually does war games once in a while, and at the time, there were, I guess something was leaked maybe in that was part of this wargaming that the military was doing at the time, and people construed it completely out of ordinary. Because, like I said, the government does do this once in a while, war games, because it's preparedness. They're trying to prepare the troops to fight wars overseas, and so you do it here, to give them experience and blah blah. But
none of this was unusual.
Yeah, it's not unusual that the government would do this. It's not unusual. I wish I had that clip right now of Tom Jones, but here's some more though. Some more conspiracies for you. You might have heard this one. Obama runs ISIS.
Oh God.
Yeah, Obama's definitely the leader of ISIS. Michelle Obama is really a man. That was another conspiracy
yeah, I heard
theory.
about that. I didn't realize that was. Did that start with Jones, or did he?
I don't know if
push
it started with him, but he definitely was pushing it.
Okay.
There's also one that Michelle Obama actually murdered Joan Rivers.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why or anything. I didn't really find anything on that. But that was one of the conspiracies that I found linked to him, was that Michelle Obama murdered Joan Rivers. I don't know. I really don't know. Obama and Hillary Clinton smell like sulfur, and therefore they're demons. And they also always have like flies flying around them, therefore demons. That was another conspiracy theory. I should have pulled that clip, but I didn't. Where he's actually talking about, and I have people right next to the president. These people are really high level intelligence people. They say that Obama smells like sulfur, and that there's flies constantly flying around him. And it's basically trying to tie that he's a demon, and same with Hillary Clinton. But there's also another one that I actually have a clip here for. Chemicals in water making frogs gay. So I have a nice little clip here. And I should preface it here by saying that, like, there's a motive in this as to why he's pushing this conspiracy theory, and we'll get into it right after this clip right here.
What do you think tap water is? It's a gay bomb, baby. And I'm not saying people didn't naturally have homosexual feelings. I'm not even getting into it. You think I am like, shocked by it, so I'm up here bashing it because I don't like gay people? I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Do you understand that? Serious crap.
And so that laughing in the background is, I actually pulled this clip from John Oliver's show that they pulled the clip and played himself. So that's what the laughter's from. But
no,
yeah,
I think it's perfect.
Yeah, it is kind of funny having the laughter in the background because it is really silly. Right at the end there, he's like slamming the desk with his paperwork. That's why he's like all angry. But there's actually a purpose for him pushing this conspiracy. And it becomes evident if you were listening to the show at the time. They actually also pulled the clip for that as well on the John Oliver clip here. And they're selling products, actually, interestingly enough.
We sell 5 different brands of the very best water filtration systems out there. They're amazing. They cut out 99.99% of the glyphosate, the herbicides, the pesticides, the fluoride.
So that whole thing about, I don't want chemicals in the water turning the freaking frogs gay, is basically just a workup to sell his audience water filtration systems. That's what it is. And like, this is Alex Jones for you, though. He does this in sort of like a masterful way that his audience doesn't seem to understand. That what he's doing is he's playing on their fears, and then he's selling them products. I mean, like, that's where he gets his revenue, is these products. And like, they have like, what is it? Alpha male vitality pills, where like he's always trying to talk about how like, the government is feminizing us with this water products and the water and the chemicals in the water and the the chemical trails of planes and stuff. It's all turning us into beta males and stuff. And so that's why you need to buy my Alpha Male Vitality, and it'll bring you back up. And it's just like they're constantly selling you products.
You know, it's interesting. I go in and out on whether or not this is. I mean, Alex Jones is a snake oil salesman, but I go in and out whether or not that is his sole motive. Especially since after you going over his history, as a broadcaster, or of his show, him getting dropped. But despite all of that, he kept by his theme. And I mean, now it's become profitable, but it's interesting. I've always under the idea that, this was solely a, profit motivated. But I mean, I think it became that, but I don't necessarily think that was necessarily always the case. I think he truly believes some of this shit.
Yeah, he probably does. He is kind of nutty. He's pretty crazy. He has so many conspiracy theories, and we haven't even gotten to some of the more fun ones. Obviously, we heard earlier in that one clip that I played that Pepsi taste testing is actually, apparently, according to him, based off of fetal tissue. That's one thing that he said in that one clip. There was like I said, airplanes spreading chemicals in the air to keep us docile, stuff like that. There was also a big one, Pizzagate. I'm sure we all remember that. This was apparently, there was a massive conspiracy where the establishment elite in the country, including the Clintons, were running a child sex ring out of a pizza place in Washington, D.C. One of the activities that they would engage in, according to Alex Jones, was that they would shove children into the vaginas of women. That was one of the rituals that they did, apparently. I don't know how that's actually physically possible, but that's one of the things that they would allege that would be happening in these sex rings. But it's so stupid. And in Pizzagate, one of his crazed lunatics, really, I guess, went to the pizza place itself with a gun and stormed the place and was demanding that the owners bring him to where the children's sex ring is and stuff, so he could expose what's really going on. And basically the guy got arrested, and I'm sure he's in jail at this point. I don't remember if anyone was injured during it or anything, but
I thought he shot someone.
He might have.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Shot.
Yeah.
But
I don't remember if anybody died or not, but someone was shot.
I didn't really pull enough information on it. I think it was at that moment people started to take Alex Jones' rhetoric really, really serious. Because at least
that was when people started actually really paying attention to Alex Jones. Yeah,
and I mean, one conspiracy that did actually precede that was one that I actually was going to bring up later. For some reason, I didn't really keep the timeline exact. Was Sandy Hook, though. Sandy Hook was a mass shooting that happened in an elementary school. There were children and teachers that were gunned down by I don't know if he was a teenager or if he was an early 20-something.
He was in his 20s.
Yeah. From what I remember of the story, this kid had a bunch of guns that his mother had bought for him. And during that day, he had actually shot and killed his mother. And then he went on this rampage at the local elementary school at Sandy Hook.
They were actually his mother's guns that she kept in a gun safe. But he had access to the gun safe. He knew the passcode. Right. And apparently she volunteered at the school or something. I'm actually not clear of exactly what her connection to the school was.
Yeah.
But he was apparently jealous of the kids at the school, and that was why he went to the school after he killed her and then stole her guns and basically went to the school himself to shoot up the school.
Wow. That's even worse. So, yeah, that was Alex Jones threw his hat into the ring when he started accusing the families, the parents of the children that were just massacred as being crisis actors, and that they were lying about the actual shooting happening. And the parents of these children then went on to have death threats on pretty much a daily basis by some of Alex Jones's psychopathic base of supporters. And this was, I think, the first one that really got everyone, they got Alex Jones on everyone's radar.
Yeah. And I think in addition to that, Alex Jones was peddling this idea that it was all a ploy by the government in order to take away your guns.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so that's like doubly serious because his base are those people. They're people who support the NRA. They're right.
Largely.
And so he's drumming up that rage in order to, I don't know what his motive was. I mean, obviously, I think Alex Jones is looking for something. He's looking for some form of response from his base, I think, when he says things like this, because he knows what it does to them. Yeah. So,
it's very similar to, like, you remember when Bill O'Reilly would always talk about Dr. Tiller, the baby killer, during his broadcasts. He would always refer to him as the baby killer. And wouldn't you know it, one of his devoted listeners or viewers went and actually shot and killed Dr. Tiller because he was an abortion doctor, according to Bill O'Reilly. These people on the right...
He did provide abortions.
Yeah, he did provide abortions, but that wasn't the only thing he did.
Yeah, I know.
It's just like... yeah. But
yeah. That's not entirely wrong. He was...
Yeah, but all I'm saying, though, is that the right tends to use this language of baby killer, and he kept on saying it over and over again until it drove some of his crazed psychopath listeners into a frenzy that they would go out and actually do something about it. It's the same thing with Alex Jones, I think, to Jordan's point and all that and everything, because I think they know what they're doing in a lot of ways. They just, try and play the fool because it's easy.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's when I knew Bill O'Reilly. I mean, I knew Bill O'Reilly was a bad actor, but I knew he was evil once. After that happened, he kind of it didn't change anything about him or change anything in him. But I think the only difference is that I believe Bill O'Reilly said those things is on television for political reasons. I think he wanted political gain. And he wanted to supplant his influence in politics. But when it came to Alex Jones, I think that Alex Jones is trying to elicit an actual response from his listeners. I don't think Alex Jones is smart enough to I don't think he has he cares about the political I guess the political gains that would happen based on what he says. I think he's more interested in the what his followers says and what his followers does.
Yeah, it's largely he wants his base. A lot of what
he wants
happens.
The name recognition. He wants the fame. He wants the attention. It's not really about politics to him. It's about getting attention. It's about,
one thing that solidifies a base of support is fear. When you can get your base of listeners into a psychopathic frenzy fear, they will religiously listen to you, and that does happen from time to time. Maybe Bill O'Reilly and them don't do it necessarily as nefariously in some ways as Alex Jones does, but they do pretty much the same thing, where they fearmonger about the left and how they're trying to take away the America that all of their God-fearing and loving listeners are about. You know, it's all the same thing is what I'm saying. You know, it's just they play off of fear because it gets their audience to just like sort of like glue themselves to it because of that fear. But some more conspiracy theories though tied to Mr. Alex Jones. Ted Cruz's father apparently has links to Lee Harvey Oswald. This was propagated by Jones and actually also regurgitated by Mr. Trump when he was running for president. So, showing you that
Trump
influence
and Jones
that
were very cozy with each other in 2016.
Yeah, that's just one of those things that shows that he did have an influence on Trump, because after Jones started propagating that conspiracy, Trump started regurgitating it at his rallies and stuff.
I'm not sure how much of that is Trump actually following Jones himself, so much as it might have been people in Trump's campaign that were following Jones and thought,
maybe.
hey, we could use this to our advantage. And, you know, you just got to say the right things to Trump and, you know, he's your best friend for life, right? At least until he no longer needs you.
Yeah.
I think that's why Alex Jones is why he's important, and that's why we're covering him, is because of his, despite the fact that he may not have been looking for that political influence, it found him. So he's, you know, so yeah.
His main thing throughout his entire career has been how he's the little guy and they, the government, don't want you to hear what we're saying, what we're telling you. We're telling you the truth, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. But the main thing throughout that is, well, now he's on the side of the government because his guy got into office.
Yeah.
So now he's at this weird turn where he has to somehow be for the government, but he's made his entire living off being against the government and being the outsider.
Well, yeah.
So he's found himself in this really weird position.
It's basically he just like sits there and evangelizes for Trump. And then he basically says that the establishment is coming for him. They're all trying to destroy him.
So his main thing, the way he's found a way around that so far has been to say, well, Trump isn't part of the establishment. But in reality, Trump's really just kind of actually gone along with what the establishment wants. The establishment Republicans, that is. He's pretty much just followed standard Republican policies for the most part.
Yeah.
He's after Republican plus mean tweets.
Yeah. After some of the stuff that Alex Jones and his audience were kind of upset with Trump in what he was pushing, he got really upset, and he was on the verge of crying on one of his shows. And I have a clip from when that was happening. Like, I don't remember exactly what it was that Trump was pushing that Alex Jones and his base were really, really upset about, but this was the aftermath of that.
And then they sit there and they're like, you know, if you just turn against Trump, things will be better. But he was doing good, and that's what makes it so bad. Oh, and that's what makes it so bad. If he'd have been a piece of crap from the beginning, it wouldn't be so bad. But we made so many sacrifices, and now he's crapping all over us. It makes me sick.
Oh, man. He is such... He's an actor, man. I mean, if you could say anything about Alex Jones, I'd say he's a pretty decent actor, at least, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's interesting to point out, actor, because I mean, I think it was earlier this year where his wife, I mean, well, maybe it was around divorce proceedings or...
Yeah, he's in like a custody battle for his kids with his ex-wife.
Right, but she successfully used his show against him in that case, basically saying that he's unstable and his kid shouldn't be around him.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But his lawyers have been trying to say in that, and actually in lawsuits that I'm going to be talking about in a little bit, he and his lawyers actually try and push the narrative that he's actually just an actor, and that like nobody serious would actually take what he was saying literally and stuff. But we'll get to that in a second.
Except for all the people that do.
Yeah. But some more of the conspiracies before we get to that, though. The Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia was apparently murdered by the Democrats to take control of the courts. How well that worked for the Democrats.
Yeah,
Strike and a miss right there, you know? Or a swing and a miss. That's what it is. But yeah, didn't work out very well. But yeah, that was a conspiracy theory that Mr. Jones was pushing after Scalia's death. Hillary Clinton having seizures and tongue lesions during the 2016 campaign season.
Tongue lesions.
Yeah. There are like pictures of like dark spots on her tongue, which could just be lighting, you know, and I don't know. But so like these are also like obviously these seizures and these lesions. That means obviously she's a demon. It's the same narrative.
Obviously.
And also lizard people control the world is another thing. And they are the establishment elites, or maybe the insiders, as that one book may have put it. Chobani apparently had a lawsuit with Alex Jones where he actually lost at one point. According to Jones at the time, though, Chobani Yogurt was actually hiring illegal immigrants in order to bring rapists, tuberculosis, and other diseases to the area surrounding their yogurt factory. For what purpose? I don't know. Maybe the globalists wanted to spread disease and rapists in that area. What's that?
The globalists.
Yeah, of course. It's those damn globalists.
As they twirl their mustaches with their long, Jewy noses.
Wow.
Because we all know that, you know, when they say globalists, they really mean Jews.
Yeah. I mean, that's actually literally what the Nazis were saying back then. Like, they would actually, before they started just, like, I guess maybe after they started calling them, or I can't remember if it was before or after, but they actually did call the Jews and stuff globalists, and they called the globalists Jews. They called them like, you know, interchangeably, you know, at that time. So yeah, that was a thing of the past and apparently still of the present. But
still
yeah,
very popular rhetoric.
Yeah. So, which leads us, though, to some of the recent shootings, Sandy Hook and the Parkland shooting. Both of these cases, he accused the family members and the students that survived these incidents as crisis actors. And because of this, the parents from the Sandy Hook incident have a new lawsuit in the books right now, filing for defamation reasons. Alex Jones and his law team actually tried to and were unsuccessful in trying to throw out the charges on grounds of freedom of the press. So that didn't work out too well for him.
Though, because freedom of the press doesn't protect you from defamation.
No. And
you have to print things that are actually true. And that's actually the check on the freedom of the press.
Yeah. And so not only during or in the Sandy Hook incident with the parents filing defamation, the Parkland shooting victims, the survivors, have also come out with their own defamation lawsuit as well. That's also been tried and unsuccessful in trying to get it thrown out by Alex Jones's legal team. So
good.
Both of those situations, he was saying that these were fake, that these shootings never actually happened, that this was just a plot by the Democrats to pass gun legislation, gun control laws, and to try and take away all of our guns. And all that. Recently, though, in other news, in relation to this, I guess, Jones has been getting banned from a bunch of different outlets. Facebook, YouTube. I guess you guys might have said, I'm not sure if this is confirmed or not, but he may have also been kicked off of PayPal at this point. But also, Twitter has banned him entirely. And this may have come after, or it did come after he harassed the CEO of Twitter personally. He actually went to the CEO of Twitter and harassed him and was asking all kinds of questions and trying to get him to put him back on Twitter at the time, because I think he was in a temporary ban, but after this they permanently banned him from Twitter. And
surprising.
Yeah. So he had a nice little response here. In response to him being banned by Twitter, and this is he's playing a character here, and this is who he's basically saying is banning him from Twitter and who's trying to take over the world. And I got a nice little clip here.
But no one's going to see that broadcast Alex Jones did today.
And actually, I should probably say here, his voice is muffled here because he has a donkey mask on. Just to put you that picture in your minds as you listen to this amazing piece of broadcasting.
But no one's going to see that broadcast Alex Jones did today because it's been deleted. And you see, you've learned very, very well that only the internet matters, not UHF, not VHF, nothing. Only our control matters. And so now you're being taught to submit. So let me tell you about Operation 666. Yes! Operation 666! Operation Freedom to destroy you forever! I'm just a donkey. On the 6th of August, we banned InfoWars from 27 platforms. And now, on September 6th, we banned you from Twitter. And on October 6th, we will destroy your president and set fire to every major U.S. city and have our communist forces launch their attack while Silicon Valley sits in their bunkers in the middle of the Pacific Ocean in New Zealand.
Oops,
Operation 666. The number of the beast. Hell and fire raining free. Soon the West will fall.
My God, is it almost over yet?
1.8 billion Islamicists trained in Satanism are ready to invade. The China system will expand. The third world will collapse into Europe and America. And our domination will be complete. We will sit back.
All right. It just keeps going.
That's enough. Yeah.
So yeah.
Here, he's just talking there, and this is all I hear. Wow. But I wanted to bring back one of the parts of that where you might not have noticed this, but he's actually speaking lyrics from a song. If you remember this part real quick.
Operation 666. The number of the beast. Hell and fire raining free.
Now, you hear that, and juxtapose that by the lyrics from a song by Iron Maiden, The Number of the Beast.
666, the number of the beast. Hell and fire was born to be released.
Who said it better? I don't know.
Iron Maiden, obviously.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Oh, freaking Alex Jones, man. He's just insane. But yeah. It's Alex Jones for you guys. Like I said, there's those lawsuits going on right now between him and those families that he's defamed on his programs that have also received numerous death threats because of his ilk of psychopaths that listen to his show. His defense in these suits is the freedom of the press, apparently, and his attorneys have also been fielding the defense that, quote, no reasonable person would believe what he says, and that he doesn't really mean what he says.
Oh,
It's interesting.
that's nice.
Yeah.
Nice and convenient, really, when you think about it.
Very convenient, very convenient. But that might not have been a quote. I pulled that from an article somewhere. I can't remember where. But yeah, that's Alex Jones, guys. I mean, yeah, that's all I got, man. The guy's an idiot. The guy's a psychopath. How is this guy? Why did you guys on the right of politics look at this guy as some kind of like amazing person? This guy is crazy. I mean, I get it from one standpoint. This guy is entertaining as hell. You know, it's sort of like people love to watch a train wreck just because.
Oh, he's a train wreck, all right.
You can't pull your eyes away, even if it's so horrifying and terrible what's happening. Human beings just really cannot look away from a train wreck. You know, like it's really, really difficult. And so he really is a train wreck. And I guess in some ways, it's exactly why Donald Trump is president as well, because people are sick and tired of our politics, and they were just enamored by the train wreck that was Donald Trump, maybe. It's just, there's just such a weird base of support for these people. They're just frothing at the mouth, like, at every, like, word that they say as, like, fact. And it's, how can you listen to that guy and say, yeah, that sounds reasonable? Like, in some of his broadcasts, he's even put, like, a lizard head on as well, and, like, talked about how he was, like, the establishment and stuff, and it's just... I just don't get it, guys. I really don't get it.
I think that's honestly the most important thing when it comes to the Alex Jones discussion, his followers, because I mean, at the end of the day, they're the ones who give him power. So they didn't exist, and Alex Jones wouldn't exist. So, or you know, as Alex Jones, the conspiracy theorist. So it's like, I think it's the more important case study is like, what caused these people to turn to Alex Jones for their news? You know what I mean? Like, what is it about? I mean, and I know one of the ideas is the internet. It kind of propagates these fictional narratives and makes it more like difficult to discern what's real and what's not.
Yeah,
I know that's how.
I think like on the base of it, that helps propagate it, but it's not the real root cause of why people gravitate towards this. And I think it's like, when it comes to that book, like I was saying, there actually is some levels of truth to what these conspiracy theorists push, you know, and like we do, all of us, all three of us here, especially, know that we cannot really trust the government in all things. You know, they are inherently corrupted, all of the individuals in government. Like, we don't trust the Democrats even, you know, the three of us. And because of this, there breeds this resentment and hatred towards the elite and those in power that, like, almost anyone can relate to. And because of this, it makes it really easy for these charlatans to really make a name for themselves in pushing these conspiracy theories, because all you really have to do is find the root things that are really causing a lot of anguish and pain and unrest in the masses of people, and you play on that. You play on those fears. You play on those angers, and you weave it into a narrative that sounds plausible and satisfies these people to keep listening. You know, that has to be a lot to do with what it is. You know, it has to be. You know, it's people, even like the most crazy fervent of these psychopaths, they're still human beings at the end of the day. You know, whether we want to like include them in the human species or not is another matter.
Conspiracy theorists are not that different from some of the most virulent racists. In that, what I mean by that is
Facts.
they tend to feel that they are not smart or are not intelligent or are not capable, of various things. And so they want to have something to blame for that. And racists blame people with other, of other races.
It's a personal insecurity, yeah.
Yeah, it's personal insecurity. Well, the one thing that believing that you are somehow superior because of who you are, that gives racists this sense of self-worth. And that's why they feel really deprived when you point out that there's no difference between any of the races. We're all humans.
Yeah.
It's like a tiny, less than 1% difference, that goes into skin color. It's not, there's nothing scientifically there. So that's why they get so defensive about it. Because they draw a lot of their self-worth from believing that they are somehow inherently superior. Well, with the conspiracy theorists, it's actually very similar because it makes them feel smart to know things that other people don't know. So they will sometimes cling to their conspiracy theories because it makes them feel smart. It makes them feel intelligent. It makes them feel like they're more in tune with what's going on than anybody else. That they're special.
It's in some ways that whole narrative of like, the boss shits on you. So like the man then goes and hits his wife, and then the wife hits the kid, and then the kid kicks the dog. It's sort of a similar occasion where like they feel like they're being oppressed, so they have to oppress someone else to make themselves feel better about themselves,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, and also, say you have tried and you just keep failing in life. You tried to go to school, you didn't do very well at school. You tried to start a business, you couldn't succeed. Well, was it your fault that you failed? Or was it that there's some big conspiracy, there's this group out there that makes it impossible for you to succeed? See what I mean?
Yeah. I think
you're not smart. You've just had the cards stacked against you. And that's why you can't succeed. It's not your fault.
When it comes to this podcast, at least, I think there is a conspiracy against us that keeps us down.
You say so.
No, no, there isn't.
I just show up.
Aubrey just shows up and looks good. That's all she does. Yeah.
I somehow look good despite nobody ever seeing me.
We have a really good made for radio personalities. That's what it is.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's what it is for me, at least. I don't know about you guys, but I have that made for radio face. It's really good.
He's right. I've seen it.
Fuck you, Jordan. Fuck you.
Okay. But yeah, and it's just kind of, especially for these people who find their self-worth in these things, they can't let go of it and they have to believe it. And sometimes, they'll turn around and they'll act on it. Like that guy who went and shot up that Planned Parenthood in Colorado to try to protect the babies. He got
kill
this
people to save
really,
people.
Yes,
Weird.
He got this really bad information, but he felt like he was something special, like he was a hero for stopping them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they want to in a lot of ways, those people may just be in a situation in their life where they have nothing left, maybe. So like they think, well, I'll do this one thing and this will solidify my name in history, kind of thing. Going out in a blaze of glory kind of situation, like a lot of these weirdos do.
What do we remember him as? The crazy guy that shot up Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
We don't even know his name. I'm sure we can probably go look it up easily, but nobody's
they're
really
warriors
bothering.
for Jesus. That's usually what they say. But,
it's like the guy that shot up Parkland, the guy that shot up Sandy Hook.
Yeah.
We don't remember their names.
Yeah, I don't remember their
And
names.
with good reason, because quite simply, they're really not that special.
Yeah, we shouldn't really remember these people's names. There's a lot of I guess more left-leaning media outlets tend to like try to not glorify these people by saying their name too much. Like TYT tries to avoid saying the names of the attackers in these situations, and others I think also do that. And yeah, I mean, these people should not be glorified, and there's always just going to be a subset of people that just will, because I don't know, there's just some weird thing with humans where like there were people that were like Charles Manson like fanboys and girls, you know, these people wanted to marry the dude, you know, even though he was a murderer. What's that?
That's cult of personality. That's
Yeah.
I mean, Charles Manson actually ran his own fucking cult.
Yeah.
That's literally a cult personality.
Yeah, but like even people that weren't even parts of the cult, you know, like even after the fact that he was in jail, the cult was gone. There were still people that loved this guy that like then like I just saw something on this actually recently where there was this guy that never met him in his life, but he felt like they were best friends because like they exchanged like messages like once, like mail once or something like that, and they were best friends.
Yeah.
And after that point,
Those are people who are desperate and lonely, and they're looking for a purpose.
Yeah.
You know, those are the kinds of people who are very vulnerable to cults. They're very vulnerable to
racism and these
religion.
groups. Yeah, that too.
A lot of predatory ideologies, religion. You know, I mean, they will bounce around looking for a
MRAs.
purpose, looking for a reason. You know,
men's rights activists. Oh my God, they are pretty bad.
Yeah,
at that.
I know. It's, you know, I mean, and those are the kinds of people that they specifically prey on because they are already searching. You know, and a lot of times they'll latch onto things. I mean, like, what was it? All the girls that had that crush on, what was it, the Boston bomber? Because he was cute.
Oh God, I don't even remember.
Yeah, I mean, there was all kinds of stuff like that. You know, and that always happens.
Yeah.
And same thing with, like, serial killers and stuff. People latch onto them because they're good looking, or, you know, they think that there was some kind of purpose or reason behind what they were doing.
Yeah, like,
and
there was was it like Jeffrey Dahmer? I think was also.
Head.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dahmer.
Like I think.
Yeah, guy that. Yeah.
He. I guess he stalked women, and then basically raped and then murdered them, and then ate them. And then even after he's in prison for this, there are still women that are obsessed with this man. I think that was what it was. It was actually, I think, this show on Netflix called Dark Tourist, or Dark Tourism or something like that I watched recently. I didn't really care for the show much. But, like, there were fan girls of this guy that, like, obsess over him, that they love the guy, and they want to marry him, even though he murdered and 8 women. And they still like, well, he wouldn't do that to me. It's like, what? Are you kidding me? Come on. Don't. Oh my God. Oh my God.
I thought
It's
Dahmer
insane.
targeted boys.
Well, I don't remember who it was. It was one of the, I might be getting them wrong or mixed up, but it was one of the murderers that actually went after women specifically, that raped and murdered and then ate them. It might not have been Dahmer. I can't remember who it was.
He did do cannibalism, but I thought he primarily targeted boys.
I don't remember. But it was just one of them. That's all I can remember. I don't remember which one. There's so many of them.
I watched a special on him a while ago, but it's been years now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is fascinating when you look into these serial killers and their history and stuff. You know, how a lot of times, you know, they were abused. They were sexually assaulted as children. Some of them were just straight up psychopathic as children, like Dahmer, who literally just killed animals for fun.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, you know. And it's interesting because the media especially hypes up this idea of love somehow changing people and redeeming them and turning them into different people.
Yeah.
That you can take that bad guy and you can make him a good guy through the power of love. And it's something that the media really, really hypes up, and it's especially something that they target towards young women. This idea that just finding the right woman will somehow change the guy and make him a good guy, and you could be the one to change him, to make him good and stuff. And it, in a way, it's kind of grooming them for putting up with an abusive relationship.
And subservience, yeah.
Subservience. But in another, it's also, it cultivates this idea where girls find themselves attracted to
Power.
bad guys
Yeah.
because they think somehow that they can save them.
Yeah, it seems like they tend to be like attracted to like this power, you know, that these
Yeah.
men seem to
Not necessarily
exude.
power, but
You know,
it's this idea that you can take this guy who is bad in pretty much every sense of the word, and you can somehow make him a good guy. You can change literally everything about him that you think attracts you to him, and that you'll be in love forever.
Yeah.
Well, in reality, if that really were the case, then, like, well, why were you actually attracted to this guy?
Mm-hmm.
Place?
Right.
Are you just going to leave him for the next bad guy for you to go reform?
does happen. Yeah,
I know.
It's a control thing. They're attracted to the control that
And
the man
it's also
tends to exude. But then,
teaching girls, hey, it's okay to manipulate guys into becoming someone they're not,
yeah.
or to changing them.
I mean, I
And
guess, yeah.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say that I think the dynamic might be that like maybe these women are attracted to the control that these men exude, but then they want to control this controlling man. You know, in some ways, you know, that's maybe what they're interested
well, and
in.
that's
I don't know.
that's the classical idea of female power: is you control men through your feminine wiles and through your sex.
Yeah.
You know, you use the standard aspects of feminine beauty and everything else like that in
What if we
order to convince men to change.
Yeah. I wonder if we should have a topic on that at
Manipulate
some
them.
point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Could think about it. But I don't know. We should probably wrap it up here, guys, and get the hell out of here. Unless you guys have anything else to add to our show this week, Jordan. Yeah. Anything?
Well, I think I may have said it before the show, but it's. I mean, to me, it was sort of. I thought it was very. I thought this was a topic that we should cover because I think we've seen the end of Alex Jones.
Hopefully.
However, it doesn't necessarily, hopefully, but it doesn't necessarily guarantee that an Alex Jones-like figure won't come to prominence.
Oh, they definitely will.
Right,
That's a guarantee. It's like death and taxes. It's a basic guarantee of life, you know. But we may see the end of him. I'm not sure. I'm hoping that these lawsuits eventually pile up enough that he just cannot keep going with business. Sort of like how Gawker. I've seen a couple of publications say how like is Alex Jones going to become the next Gawker kind of situation where Gawker was sued out of existence. Basically, they were sued to a point where they could not keep business running, so they just ended. They closed down,
And frankly,
maybe that's what'll happen to him.
I feel like that's what should have happened to him without all the social media bans.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like,
let him keep his level of social media presence, but just sue him basically out of business.
It helped martyr him to his fans, and then sort of like solidify his base even more because he's like,
of course,
you see that? I told you they were going to do this kind of thing, you know.
Yeah, well, and we were talking about people who are paranoid, who believe that there really is some big conspiracy out to get them because they know things that, they don't want you to know. And then here you have, all at once, all these social media platforms banning them. Banning the guys they follow and telling them the truth.
Although,
and it looked like it was a very coordinated thing, which, is not illegal. But it, all of a sudden, all at once, platform after platform after platform, all on pretty much the same day or within like a couple days, all banning Alex Jones.
Yeah.
That doesn't
You know,
just happen all of a sudden. They were
Right.
talking, obviously, and decided to do this all together. And what does that do? That just solidifies what these people already believe.
See, the globalist
True.
elites are all working together.
yeah,
Exactly.
that's true. That's true, Aubrey. But honestly, does it even matter? Like in the end of the
don't know,
day, they've had these beliefs before this, and they've had it after. And also, I think the beneficial thing about what happened to Alex Jones, that this may, even though we said that, you know, it's very likely that another Alex Jones like figure would come to prominence. But I think the action that they took may be a precedent set that can apply towards the next Alex Jones before he gets as big as he does. So which could maybe lessen the damage that someone like him could do. So yeah, we I guess we shall see how the future kind of is after all of this.
Yeah.
I don't know. All I know is, quite simply,
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, let's get out of here. Jesus.
Oh, man.
Mars colony, here we come.
Where's Oklahoma Tangent 1 when you need him? Oh, man. Anyway,
Elon must save us.
where's the Biavians, you know?
The last thing we need is get another multi-billionaire.
To quote unquote save us.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, thank you guys for listening to our podcast this week. It's very appreciated. And you guys can find us on iTunes. We are on iTunes. We are on YouTube as well. We have our own little Facebook page if you want to subscribe there. If you want to get like updates for the show or even like talk to us, you can join our Discord, where me and Aubrey are mostly on there usually. Michael
Yeah,
sometimes on there. Jordan's never on there.
I
But
suck.
I pop in and out. Discord's not really giving me notifications anymore for some reason.
weird. You have to probably check your notification settings maybe or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
probably.
regardless, you can always get on touch with us there. If we're running late like we are this week on the podcast, I'll put an update on there usually. Maybe I should put one on the Facebook too. But we have a Patreon. If you want to help donate to the page or to our podcast, you can do it through there. Please write us a review on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. It really helps boost our podcast. If you're interested, it would very much help us get somewhere. We're trying to build this thing, guys. It's only been like almost 2 years, since we've been doing the
Are
show.
we actually trying to build it?
I'm trying to, but, I'm a little bit passively. I probably should be a little bit more active in
I don't
trying
know.
to do it. But,
I shared it on Facebook with my 10 friends.
Yeah,
And I think
that
one of them
went
actually
somewhere. I'm sure.
subscribed on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm sure some of our subscribers are there. So I mean,
Yeah.
but yeah, we really appreciate you guys coming in here every week and hanging out with us for an hour and a half or so. But you guys have a great week, and we will talk to you next week with another topic. We're not sure what it is yet, but you guys have a good one.
Bye-bye.